to get a cost-effective semi-trailer truck, Odubiao decided to purchase an 8-owner used large truck, and then spent a considerable amount of rupees to convert it into a tri-axle semi-trailer tractor. However, this conversion process is not that simple. First, they needed to dismantle the original rear axle. Since the truck was originally a single-axle tractor, to convert it into a double-axle truck, the technicians had to dismantle many parts, as they would later add an additional rear axle. They had to remove the original towing seat, facilitate the subsequent adjustment of its installation position. Even the rusted cabin needed to be dismantled to allow for later refurbishment and repairs. Then, they needed to extend the chassis by half a meter within a day, because only by extending the chassis could they conveniently install an additional rear axle. For this conversion, they used a single-point suspension with a balance shaft for the rear axle, requiring a change in the position of the original crossbeam. When installing the new crossbeam, they first used some household items to fix it in place, and then used electric welding for simple welding and securing. To improve the overall firmness between the crossbeam and the chassis, technicians used a low-powered electric drill to create holes. Those who have used electric drills know that this process seems simple, but is actually highly dangerous, with a danger level rated at 5 stars. Without good arm strength and experience, the operator of the drill can easily encounter difficulty. Fortunately, the technicians are very experienced, and after a series of quick and efficient operations, all the fixed holes were completed. Next, they used traditional hot riveting techniques to secure everything. With the coordinated effort of 2 technicians, all the rivets between the crossbeam and the chassis were installed. Then, they could reinstall the previously cut-off section. To increase the overall firmness of the towing seat, the technicians also used stronger rivets to secure the reinforcing steel plates on both sides. Thanks to the coordinated efforts of 3 technicians, the steel plates on both sides were quickly fixed. Next, the junior technician just needed to complete the rust prevention work. Then, to increase the height of the towing seat, thicker steel plates were welded and fixed on both sides. When installing the base plate of the towing seat, as the position of the seat had been changed, they needed to use the electric drill to re-drill the fixing holes. Since the single-point suspension needs to be combined with a pushrod, technicians had to install the pushrod's fixing base on the modified crossbeam, and then work overtime to install the towing seat of the semi-trailer into position. The next day, they could install the suspension plates. You can see that the number of steel plates on this truck is quite substantial, so it's no surprise that this truck will likely be overweight right from the start. At this point, to facilitate the installation of the rear axle, the technicians first used chains to lift the chassis, then used a high-powered air wrench to tighten the U-bolts. Once all the suspension steel plates were secured, they could install the modified rear axle into place. This time, to save costs, although the truck has been converted into a tri-axle truck, the drive is still the original single axle. The rearmost axle is just an ordinary axle. After completing the chassis modification, they could reinstall the refurbished and repaired cabin. Finally, after 5 days of modification and restoration, the 8-owner truck has been fully refurbished. How much do you think they should charge for such a meticulous and detailed conversion job?